All right, so we are here today with the mid-season patch of Season 14. It's been a very interesting season. You know, obviously, the release of Rivals and a bunch of other things has been a very slow season. And on top of that, if anybody doesn't know, next season's their yearly refresh, which means they make a lot of major changes to the game. And it's definitely exciting. So with the mid-season coming up, you're going to be seeing the Year of the Snake seasonal event. You're going to have all like the normal stuff. You're going to have opportunities to unlock rewards. You have your Valentine's Day event coming up here in this event also. I imagine you'll probably be able to get the Cupid Hanzo and things like that again. You got the 6v6 experimental Min 1 Max 3. For anybody wondering what Min 1 Max 3 is something they're trying to alleviate queue times. One of their concerns has been that if they ever did return to a 6v6 or at least have the option for players is how would the queue times feel. There's no denying that with role queue, it's made queue times worse in general for the game ever since Overwatch 1 because you need tank players, and tank players are the least played role. You have 3 max, right? I mean, it's in the words itself, but I'll explain it. Basically, you can have 3 max of one role. So let's say that you load into a game, you go 3 tanks. Yeah, what if they want to go 3 supports, now you have goats? Well, that's what this alleviates. It's called minimum 1, which means that you need to have minimum 1 of each role, so you can only have 3 tanks, 2 DPS and a support. It could be 3 supports, 2 DPS and a tank. It could be 2 tanks, 3 DPS and a support. Once again, they've also experimented with other sides of this called like Kingmaker. This isn't in this mode, but Kingmaker is where you then buff the person on the role. But this is an interesting way. I'm really curious to see how this one goes. Just want to point that part out. There's a world where they bring this into the game and they bring in a comp mode because of this, and that would help with queue time. So if you like playing this type of Overwatch, where it isn't quite as structured as role queue, but it also isn't quite as open queue, this is a good middle ground, and it would help alleviate queue time. So I want to see how this plays out, so obviously we'll give some testing on it when the patch goes live. Then you have the Overwatch Classic Moth meta. I mean, best way to put this is the most overpowered you'll ever see Mercy. Yes, and that includes when Mercy could res everybody. So if you like playing Mercy and you want to see how it felt during this meta, you're going to have a good time. This is the most overpowered version you'll see. And also just to add here, people have asked, Ana, Sombra, Orisa, and Doomfist are also added during the Moth meta. So in the previous classic versions of the Overwatch classic versions, you didn't have these new heroes. Those heroes are introduced, as well as some of the other maps, okay? Also, you're going to have the introduction of the new mythic weapon, Ashes Led Rose. Looks awesome. That's going to be up to you if you want to get it. Drives are returning. I do want to point out here, the drives will be returning on February 11th to the 16th. And now you're going to be able to earn up to 6,000 competitive points during this time, which is basically 2 Jade weapons or the gold weapon variant. Just a little side note to people here. Next season, it's a new weapon variant, which means that all of your emerald weapon points get converted into the other one, and you can only buy gold weapons unless they change that. That's my understanding. So if you want a Jade weapon and you have the points, buy them before the new season. It definitely has felt like a slow season, but next season is supposed to be pretty hype. Now, onto the patch notes. These patch notes very much feel like they're just kind of waiting for next season, but I'll read them to you and tell you what they say. So, Hazard, the violent leap cooldown increased from 5 to 6 seconds. The dev comment says, we're finding our newest tank's mobility to be a little too hazardous. I get it. By decreasing violent leap's cooldown, Hazard will have to be more selective with how he dives into the opponent backlines. I'm going to be real with you. I feel like the Hazard has a lot of survivability to begin with. So the violent leap cooldown being the one that gets changed here is a little bit interesting because I feel like it's the right click. I think Hazard will be fine. I could be wrong. I mean, hey, listen, even though it's a 1 second difference, it can make a difference. So we'll see what happens. But I do know Hazard's been in a lot of people's games. It's interesting because like Hazard's a really fun hero. So it's a lot different than when Mauga was stuck in the meta for like 2 months because like it wasn't like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind playing Mauga, but Hazard just has this really fun playstyle to me. So it's interesting to see the differences of how it's been handled in that amount of time. Ramatra is having his base armor increase from 75 to 100. The dev comment says one of our favorite lines, Ramatra has been underperforming relative to other Brawl tanks. Adding a small increase to his armor will provide a necessary boost without altering his core gameplay. You just have more base armor. It's the normal thing you see. More armor, generally more survivability, more playmaking. I don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but if you like Ramatra, there you go. Winston, okay, so Winston's Tesla cannon ammo has been increased from 100 to 120, and the secondary fire max charge damage increased from 50 to 60. They've done a lot of Winston buffs recently. It's been interesting. I still feel like Winston's good, but maybe not as good as I thought based off of just like win rates. And then primal range ultimate cost has been increased by 12%, so A little bit of a nerf there in getting the ult, but I mean, honestly, with damage increases and how Winston is now, you're probably still going to get your ult fairly quickly. But 12% is a lot. Dev comments say Winston's dive potential has been impacted by the increased health pools of enemies. By boosting the damage of the Tesla Cannon's secondary fire and providing more ammo, this will allow Winston to follow up and finish off enemies without needing to reload as often. I mean, I get it, but I mean, I think it's play styles for Winston that make Winston strong or not strong, not Tesla Cannon damage. But it's good. It's a good change to have. Okay. Oh, this one's interesting. Echo. Focus and beam damage per second on targets above 50% HP increase from 50 to 75. Dev comments say Echo has been slightly underperforming recently, so we are increasing the base damage of the focus and beam. This change will make it easier to push enemies into the critical health threshold. I don't know what to think on this one, but like one of the cool things about Echo was there was that trade-off, right? You basically, your trade-off is if you use your beam too early, you get punished for it. And if you use your beam correctly, the other player gets punished for it. This kind of leads it up to like, yeah, you have more room to kind of just heck up your beam. So I don't know how to feel about it because Echo's already kind of good in like certain ranks. But once again, one thing I've learned over the past few years, especially with being more, React stuff and spectating, is that I need to be more open to, while a hero is strong in the rank that I'm at, it doesn't necessarily mean that a player in like gold is popping off on Echo, and they want to open up the hero availability to players. So I get it. I'm concerned for me as a tank, or like even if I'm playing like off role, but we'll see. Tracer, pulse pistol spread has been decreased by 15%. And then the comment here says Tracer has remained less threatening since the damage reduction to her pulse pistols. Reducing their spread will make her damage more consistent at slightly longer ranges. This goes back to what I was just talking about. Tracers are already good in top 500. They're going to be even better, but this will allow for players in other ranks to kind of open up and play Tracer. Next up, we have Ana. Biotic Grenade explosion damage and healing decreased from 90 to 75. The dev comment says recent changes to her rifle have made Ana a highly impactful support. Reducing the damage of her Biotic Grenade will adjust some of her breakpoints and slightly affect her self-sustainability. My only concern with this, and you can let me know if you have the same concern, is that I don't feel like the Hazard change is enough, and Ana was one of the best heroes against Hazard. So I get the change from Ana, but it feels a little bit off with how the combination of Hazard and Ana is now that, like, Ana becoming weaker also feels like Hazard becomes better, even with that cooldown change. I could be wrong, but yeah, so there you go. Ana's grenade got nerfed. Like, it makes sense in certain situations. I don't know if it's the right timing. Next up, we have Ayari. Maximum resource increased from 3 to 3.5 seconds on the heal. Ayari can struggle to heal allies without her healing pylon. Increasing the maximum resource of her secondary fire will allow her to support her team more effectively during those moments. Straight up healing buff for Ayari. So if you like playing Ayari, you're going to have more healing output now. One thing I will say, the way that you're supposed to play Ayari is like Zenyatta. You're not meant to be able to keep your teammates alive with heals. The problem is that a lot of players want to play that type of style where you just heal your teammates, so they're just trying to find ways to enable more play styles. I don't mind this, honestly. All right, Juno gets a nerf, straight up. Damage duration reduced from 10 to 8 seconds, and the damage amplification reduced from 35 to 30%. Dev comment says Juno's ultimate remains too powerful when used effectively by her allies. Reducing both the duration and the damage amplification will reduce the potency of the ultimate. I'll be real with you. Makes sense. I think you don't see Juno as much right now because of how good Hazard is, but like, let's say that they did like a really heavy, like handed like nerf to Hazard at some point, maybe even to season 15. Like once Juno returns to the fray, it would have been the same repeat stuff we saw a few months ago. So makes sense to do it now. I don't think this will make Juno any worse. I just think like you just have less time to get value out of the ultimate. So just better timed ultimates. That's really what it's going to be. But I think Juno still will be fine. And that's it. So that is it for the balance notes. Once again, I'm still kind of getting the vibe that they're really just amping up for season 15. And I know, like, you sit there and it's like, well, why not make season 14 still pretty good? It's all timings. I mean, you got when you combination it with holidays, a really hype release of a game, they're kind of like, okay, let's just focus on what we have ready to come up because that's where we're going to get players to want to return and do all that. So now it's going to be hoping that we do, that season 15 changes are major, right? It can't just be like, oh, Orisa Javelin's now 8 seconds now instead of 7 seconds, and here's a new rank reset. Like, people want more now, so we'll see. I'm excited to see because, like, as an Overwatch streamer and YouTuber and, everything that we do video-wise, I love, obviously, when we have new, fresh stuff. So I'm hoping for that, and I'm excited because I feel like the last couple months with Overwatch has very much been like, oh, what's going on? You know, Rivals, etc. And personally, I've loved playing Rivals, but I also love playing Overwatch. So it's really exciting for me to have 2 different games that I enjoy playing now, and I want to see Overwatch do very well. So I'm excited to see what they have, you know, next month. But obviously, you know, this once again will be a very chill mid-season, and yeah, we start amping up for whatever they have next. I'll just double check if there's any. Oh man, I was looking at all the bug fixes. And we'll end the video with this one. I don't know if anybody's seen this yet. Maybe we'll get an example in this video. Fixed an issue causing Zenyatta to T-pose with the retro hero emote. Man, I was loving that one. That was a good one. I enjoyed that. But anyway, that's your mid-season patch notes for Season 14. Like I said, I have no plans to quit this game. No plans to leave the game, you know, anytime soon. You know, unless they decide, you know, if the Season 15 patch ends up being, we're going to make Widow do 8,000 damage and one-shot everybody, you know, I take a little bit of a break. But I don't think they're going to do that. So I want to see it do well. I'm hoping for the best. And I'm excited to see what's to come. So if you enjoyed the video, per usual, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube, leave a comment. All of that will help. You know, let me know your thoughts. I definitely I want to keep expanding on my YouTube this year. It's a part of my focus is to bring you more YouTube stuff that I'm happy with and want to be more involved in the process that I'm doing. So I'm excited to see what happens. So yeah, anyway, hope you all have an amazing day/night.